This is episode number 104 at the BS Machine, and I am Tommy Kendi, and I'm super excited to have you on the show. And the only reason I'm excited to have you on the show is because I've got some epic wisdom to share with you today. And the only reason I can tell you that is because I've just been practicing this for the last 3-4 weeks in my life. Like, I've really made a real effort to bring this into my world, into my life, and really be aware of how this thing that we're going to talk about today it impacts your life, my life, and then what happens if we change it. And it's almost like gold. That's what it's like. It's like absolute gold. And if you're joining me on Spotify, or the Apple Podcast app, or iHeartRadio, or you're watching me on YouTube, how you going? Just giving you a little wave. Wherever you're watching or listening, I'd like to welcome you to the BS Machine family. And it's an exciting episode because it's an exciting episode because there is a lot of cool stuff that we're learning, that I'm learning, and as I'm learning it, I'm sharing it with you. So welcome to my head, welcome to my life, and welcome to this cool little family that is the BS Machine. So anyway, let's get straight onto it. So the last couple of weeks, actually probably 4 weeks, almost 4 weeks, because I count it, but almost 4 weeks, I've really been super attentive about my language. And when I talk about language, I'm talking about the way that I talk about myself, and that could be out loud through my mouth, or that could also be internal language as well, in terms of my thoughts, the way I feel about myself, and how I present myself to the world. And one thing that a lot of people always tell me when I meet people, they're just like, man, you just look like you've got your shit together. You're such a good bloke, which I hear all the time. And people, I mean, I have that gift where people just want to hang out with me, because I'm not being, arrogant or whatever, but I just do. I have that gift where people want to hang out with me, and it's a good gift to have. But also it's funny because that attraction that people have towards me, sometimes I can take it for granted, and sometimes I'm just like, what do I do with all this stuff coming at me? And so what that sort of creates is sometimes I don't really look at myself or believe in myself the way that others believe in me, or what others see. So And I wanted to dive into this. So one of the key things that came to me, and I was reading a book which talked a lot about language and the internal language and the way that you vocalize yourself out to the world. And so I've started making some big dents in the way that I speak and the language that comes out of my mouth. And what's happened is that I feel like I'm starting to grow and become larger than what I thought I'd ever be. So I'm starting to take this thing of believing in myself way more than what I did, just from shifting my language. And there's also, and I'm going to go into this way more, but there's also things that are coming into my life just because I'm talking about it, just because I'm vocalizing it, and it seems to be that it's becoming a reality. And there's also the other side of it where I'm also meeting a lot of resistance, but I'll talk about that later. So what I'm talking about in terms of language, first off, let's talk about the actual vocalizing the things that come out of your mouth and where they come from. So when you're speaking, the words that come out of your mouth, the actual words have an energy behind them. Words don't just come from anywhere. Words have an energy behind them, and they come from an intention. Now, the intention could be a conscious intention, or it can be an unconscious intention where your words come from. For example, it could be an egoic thing, or an egoic intention, or a egoic energy where that your words come from, and then they come out of your mouth, they go out into the world, or you direct those words at someone, and then things happen out of what you say. So just really think about this, because the word, and I'll repeat this again, the words that you say have a huge impact in your immediate world, but even farther than that, they have a huge impact in the world outside of your immediate world as well, the bigger layer. And so, and this all began by me. I noticed that I was gossiping about a certain person, and when I was gossiping about them, and there was probably 3 or 4 people in that conversation, and when I was gossiping about them, something in me was just like, oh, even though this feels so good because the attention is not on me, as we were talking about this person, I was just like, oh, it doesn't feel right within my body. It's not an actual good feeling. So it's interesting, isn't it? Because to gossip about someone, sometimes on the surface it feels good, but underneath that, it feels there's this element of yuckiness. It just doesn't feel right. And so that's what sort of sparked this whole thing, this unease feeling from that conversation of gossiping. So of course, me being me, I started really assessing the different areas of my life and how I talk, for example, about money, how I talk about love, how I talk about health, how I talk about friendships, relationships. And it's so interesting because you have this, it's almost like you have this this go-to place that you say about, for example, about love and some or money, whatever it is, right? And so, for example, when I talk about health, it's a natural thing in me to be like, yeah, it's a no-brainer. Like, I know I'm always going to be healthy. I know I've always got access to these things that I do, and it's just a no-brainer. The way I talk about health is really positive, and I know that impacts other people and the people that I work with, teach, whatever. When I talk about certain types of behaviors, I'm super passionate about it. So when I talk about behaviors, I know that I know my shit because I've done so much work on it, and I've done so much study and learned from different mentors and whatnot. And, you know, love, you have different experiences. Money, that's a thing for me. Is if you guys are a BS Machine avid listener, then you'd know that I've always had this thing around money where I just can't get that thing. But even that, it's like the last 3-4 weeks, even my relationship with money has totally shifted. Like, I'm feeling so fucking abundant. I'm feeling total feelings of prosperity. And with that comes love and wisdom and intelligence. All this type of creativity, all this great shit comes from it when you start to change your language. But the first place that I would implore you to do or to look at is, and this is what I set myself. I'll tell you what I set myself. I said to myself, okay, cool. For the next 7 days, you're going to say nothing negative about yourself, nothing negative about anyone else, and you're going to say nothing negative about the world, about the news, about fucking nothing. And it is so hard to do. And I really struggled with this for the first 7 days because I didn't really realize how often, even about news, it's like, yeah, the news is fucked. What's going on in the world? And what about da-da-da-da? And what about this? And oh my God, how can he even, oh my God, what about Biden? The guy can't even string 2 words together. So even all these things, you realize how much effort and how much time you put into talking about negativity. And of course, this is where the clincher is when you realize how often you do, you start to go, like, there was moments with me in the last 3-4 weeks where I actually felt these words wanting to come out of my mouth. Like, the words were wanting to come out that were negative. And I just had to go, Tom, don't say it. Tom, don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. And there was actually a few times where I'd be like, fuck you, voice, I'm going to say it. And I did. And as soon as I said it, I felt like shit. So it's going to take some work, but try. This is bloody homework for you guys. Try for 7 days to say nothing negative about anyone, about yourself. And I know the inner language is harder because that just happens. But even catch yourself. So I think I talked about this. Did I talk about this last week, or maybe I put a thing on Instagram? I can't remember if I talked about it or not. But you can, if you're on audio, you can hear that. That's basically my shitty thoughts jar. And yeah, so I think I mentioned that last week, but I can't remember. But anyway, so I've got this thing called a shitty thoughts jar, and I'm putting my shitty thoughts into it pretty much. But that's the inner stuff. But what this episode about is mainly the vocal, the energy that comes out of your mouth. And even if you want to talk bad or negative about someone, give yourself that challenge of either not even talking about that person, or if that person has to be talked about, find some. You can only say the positive things either about that situation or about the person. So if you can't find anything good to say about the person, don't fucking say it. Only say something positive about the situation. Yeah? And you watch, I'm telling you this out of very recent experience, that even when other people are talking shit about, no, I'm not talking about gossiping, even when other people are talking about negativity or, yeah, this person's this, or even about themselves, I either correct them and I say, hey, do you know what? How about we don't even entertain this conversation, because it doesn't feel like it's got a really nice energy. It feels like it's bringing shit down. And even though if it's awkward, just fucking say it. Or if someone is, talk, just don't listen, or let them have their thing, talk about it, just stay fucking silent. And then once they're done, then just start talking about something else. And you watch, even after 7 days, so many cool things start to happen, because you really start to feel yourself open up. That's one. Two, you start to really it's like, oh wow, there's so many great things that are happening in the world. There's so many great things that are happening with me. Like, holy shit, look at all the cool shit that I'm doing. Like, I've got this on, I've got that on, and oh my God, I've got all these epic people in my life who fucking love me, and I love being around them. And oh my God, look, I've got a dog, and I've got a car, and wow, I love my car. By the way, I do actually love my car. Every single time I walk out in the morning and I have to get in my car, it's like, it makes me feel awesome. I really do love my car. It's nothing special, but I just walk to it. I'm like, oh, that's the car I've always wanted, and I get to sit in you and drive you today. So I love that. But in terms of, back into your language, it's like you do. If you do that, do this for 7. I've been like, obviously not with not being faultless. Like, I've fucked up a couple of times, 100%. But more so than not, I've been so aware of my language. And even with Nick, if me and Nick are having a disagreement or an argument, or we don't really argue that much, it's more disagreements because we're so different. But even when we're having a disagreement and she's like sticking to her guns, it's like, either you should be doing this or blah, 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 this is how things should be. I just sort of go, okay, cool, I get it. And I appreciate that you see the world like that, but I'm just not going to engage in negative energy conversation, and I'll just let it go. And when she's finished, I'll fucking talk about something that's more positive. And she ends up at fucking finishing the conversation anyway. So that works well for both of us. So it's this idea of trusting yourself, because what happens is that when we start only looking for the things that make us feel nice, and this is not positive affirmations, this is not let's be positive, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about us using our language to literally change and shift our dysfunctional behavioral patterns. Because as you start to believe that all there is good stuff that for you personally. I'm not talking about other people. I'm talking about for you personally. If you start to change your belief systems that in all areas of your life, of love, of money, of relationships and friendships and health, and all the other things that significance, whatever it might be, or your fucking dreams. Like, how are you meant to achieve your dreams if you don't even believe that those dreams can be achieved? Man, it's impossible. I mean, imagine going, yeah, I want this, but I don't really believe that I can do it. So I want this, but I don't really believe that I have the capacity to get it. So what a waste of even time. Like, how can you want to have a dream but then talk shit about people, talk shit about yourself? How can you even want to dream if you're going to talk negatively about that dream or about all the things why you can't have it? And then you start to believe you can't have it. And then once you just believe you can't have it, well, obviously it's not going to happen. So how do we change our beliefs? The way we change our beliefs is, number one, through our language, through the language that we speak out to the world and through the language that we say to ourselves. And when we start to change the language, there is a number of epic things that happen, which is we change our whole belief system around those things that we want for ourselves. And when, as soon as think about it. If you believe that you can eat dinner tonight, or you can eat lunch, or if you believe this is, I mean, it's tiny, but it's important that we understand. If you believe that you have the capacity to go and buy dinner somewhere tonight, you will make that happen. And of course, it's a no-brainer. You can go get dinner. But what's the difference between you going to get dinner and you achieving that dream that you've always fucking wanted? The only difference is your belief in whatever that is. That's all it is. And this has been proven time and time again. I've proved this in my own life. I've seen my mates, my partners, my parents, all of them. I see that whatever they fucking believe in is exactly what they sow. It comes to them. What was Jesus's thing? Jesus said something. It was like, what thou shalt sow, whatever thou shalt think, or something like that. I don't know. If you're into the Bible, you could probably hit me up and let me know. Thou shalt what you sow, whatever it is. Anyway, but you know that we've all heard it. That's what it is. And so we are. It's about the language. What are you? How is your language really going? What are you actually doing in your own life? How are you talking about things? And have you got the courage? Have you got the ability and the capacity to try these pants on for 7 days, to say nothing negative about fucking no one? And imagine this makes a massive, massive shift in your life, and you have a certain few realizations about yourself. Man, what a huge shift that could make in your life, in the people that you respect and love in their life, and even the people that you don't respect. If you stop talking shit, it's going to come back on you tenfold. All the goodness will multiply tenfold. So try that on for size, and I think that you will get a lot of wins out of it. I definitely have. And the biggest win for me has been that I'm now looking around at my life, and I'm almost expecting I'm actually expecting full miracles to occur. That's sort of where I've landed after 3-4 weeks, because I'm constantly in this mode of just hooking into language that supports, hooking into language that makes me feel good, hooking into language that serves others and makes others feel good. And that's really what we're here to do, guys. Like, all of us have this incredible capacity to make such big changes in our life, in other people's life. So let's do it. Like, honestly, let's do it. Let's get in there. Let's dive in and make the shifts that you know intuitively and organically you know that you need to make for yourself, and you'd be so surprised about what you'll experience. So anyway, that's enough for me for today. It's all about language. It's all about finding ways to hook into your ultimate dreams, your ultimate choices, your ultimate outcomes, and that's where life is going to be. And you can have it all. And I'm telling you from a place of someone that full out believes that I am getting it all. I haven't got it yet, but that's only because I'm too excited and it's going to come. It's not actually, you know what? That's a shitty way. It's not gonna. I mean, the things I'm doing now are here. I mean, I'm doing all the things I'll have to do. They're just going to get multiplied tenfold, maybe even 100-fold, maybe 1,000-fold. Who knows what life will bring? But I know what life will bring. And it's starting with language. It's being able to really call yourself on your own BS, because it's just fucking time. It really is, guys. It's time. Stop putting this shit off. I fucking love ya. See you later.